All right, I'm here with Jay Whannel, Director of Top Tier Iowa. Jay, good to have you.
Thanks for having me on.
Of course. So we're going to recap a few items here. We're going to talk March Madness tournament down at Lake Point, preview the Mizuno Classic, and touch on some other areas. But first, one thing I want to get into is I don't know if there's a bigger supporter of kind of our alumni as you are, and Austin and Connor as well. So you said you were just down at Missouri watching some of our Florida alumni. So just kind of touch on that. And you also went down to Florida to see Bobby Seymour down at spring training. So kind of give us kind of a recap of your spring and kind of supporting our guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, spring training. My family went down to Tampa area, and I actually have a buddy that is a hitting coach with the Rays. So kind of through him, and obviously Bobby being a top tier alum, Bobby's come out to my facility and done a hitting camp, and yeah, so it's my boys enjoy seeing those guys, and it's always neat for top tier people to follow the guys as they progress, whether that's in college or as they move on to professionally. And I think that's something that's really neat about the brand, is that there's guys everywhere. And for me, as a director in Iowa, it shows the kids here that whatever it is that they want to dream about, and the goals that they want to attain, whether that's making a high school team or playing in the SEC and playing in the College World Series, making it professionally. All those things are attainable when you see guys like that we have within the organization.
Yeah, and it's awesome to see everything coming out from social media from you guys, and both Austin and Connor as well, your two boys. So yeah, I'll link all your socials in the comments in the description as well, so everyone has to give you guys a follow. I want to give you a quick opportunity to kind of introduce yourself, give us a little bit more background on Top Tier Iowa, the youth program, and also introduce Austin and Connor as well, because I've mentioned them already, but give us a brief introduction into them.
Yeah, absolutely. I grew up in a small town in Iowa. I played college baseball down in Miami, and I transferred back to school back here in Iowa. When I got done playing in college, I was fortunate to play a little independent ball for 3 years, and then started coaching in college. I spent 15 years coaching college baseball. And about that time, my older son Connor was probably like 8 or 9, and just kind of getting his feet wet and playing baseball. And I didn't really have any idea what the scene was like, and kind of what went on. And so he was coming with me to college practices, and it was awesome. The guys on the team were great, and but then I would miss his practices or his games for the college stuff. And so as he got older, it got to the point where I felt like I needed to be there for my own more. And so about that time, I opened up an indoor facility, and then kind of dove into coaching my own kids. So Connor's an eighth grader now, and my younger son Austin is a fifth grader. And so we started Top Tier. This is our fourth season, I believe. Um, so yeah, I mean, that's kind of the journey. I played, coached in college, and then transitioned to owning a facility, and started Top Tier. And obviously, I couldn't be happier with the organization and all the guys at all the different satellites. When you put a bunch of baseball people together, good things will happen. And I think we all learn from each other, and running the business side, but most importantly, the baseball side, and teaching the game, and helping the kids be the best that they can be.
Yeah, and you touched on it a little bit, the satellites there, and that's a great segue into the March Madness tournament down at Lake Point that happened last month. You went down there, took the team down, the 14U team down. Your son Connor is on that team. Uh, how important is it to kind of start the season, maybe take a trip? I think that's kind of some immediate kind of team bonding right there, to head down, and also for those younger guys, maybe play some competition. They'll they've never seen before. Maybe, see some logos and some jerseys they've never seen before. I think that that's a pretty cool kind of experience really to kick off the season. So it seems like the boys had a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. We took the 14U group down, and we did things a little different. We took a 15 passenger van. We treated it like a kind of like a college weekend. We loaded up the van. It was the coaches, the players, and we made the trip. We stopped it and walked around Vanderbilt on the way. It was a good break in the trip. And then, yeah, made it down. We had a little workout. And then, just like you said, it's great to play other teams from, other areas. And I think that's part of what makes top tier special is the ability to go to those different places. When we were there, we were able to play the top tier guys from Tampa, Kangaroo Court. So that was great to, be familiar with some coaches and then obviously see kids that are, that are part of the program in other areas. But yeah, I mean, it was a great team bonding thing. We stayed in an Airbnb together, and so just like the whole trip was great for the kids and the team, and I think it's something that they'll look back on, for a long time as something that they experienced and became better players and better kids and everything from it.
Mm-hmm. Is there a competitive advantage to that? Kind of taking some of those trips at the beginning of a season. I think we're pretty fortunate where a lot of our satellites do get that opportunity to take a trip and like I said, maybe see some competition, some new teams, maybe a different style of play even. So is there a kind of a competitive advantage to what you guys are able to do to start the season compared to maybe some other organizations?
Yeah, I definitely think so. Obviously, playing a tough schedule, and I think that also comes back to having guys that are running satellites, guys that are at HQ that play to college, collegiately. They understand being scheduled together, and they understand the grind of all that. And so, yeah, I think obviously that's something that in the end, in the long run, it's going to benefit these kids playing in big fields and playing against really good competition, and figuring out themselves and figuring out how to help their teams and all that stuff. So yeah, I totally agree with you.
So the team win 3-1 down at Lake Point. Kind of recap the performance for me. What were some things you liked? Some things that it's the talent and the kind of what you expect to see out of the team. It doesn't surprise you. You're around this group, these guys. But is there anything that kind of stood out while you guys were down there?
Yeah. So we actually played 3 games on Saturday. We went 3-0, and then we had a family emergency with one of the kids that we actually had to leave and come home, so we weren't able to play today. But yeah, I mean, it was definitely a great competition, and from that we see the things that we need to work on internally, things that the kids need to get better, and helps us as coaches, being able to practice playing a little bit differently. And so yeah, it was really good for us. Saw great competition, and then obviously as a building block, for the rest of the season and for the kids. And for us in Iowa, it's a little bit more difficult because the kids here play summer high school baseball, and they let 8th graders play. So we've got some really, really talented 8th graders. And depending on the school, they let them be involved, and some schools don't. And it's really kind of crazy here. But so we kind of navigate that. And I think we do, a really good job as coaches, getting them ready for whatever the next level is. And if that's this year of them, starting on varsity or playing sophomores or whatever it is, I think we've done a good job, getting them prepared for that.
Who are some of the players that kind of stood out down there? And like I mentioned, some of the talent, the good performances, it comes to no surprise to you. You know these guys and you've been around them. Are there any players that kind of stood out, and players that you're kind of excited to start looking forward to their performances the rest of the spring and summer?
Yeah, absolutely. I think being around kids, Dylan Murphy comes to mind, Spencer Schiff. Those are kids that our guys have played with, and obviously getting to see them and see how they've grown, and so it was great to see those guys. We didn't end up getting to play them, like I said, because we took off, but the New York guys, it was nice to see. We had a break in between, so I was able to watch them. So yeah, I mean, it's neat to see kids that that you've played with. You see them grow year after year, and they keep getting bigger and bigger, and their game keeps evolving. And then new satellites and new players and new kids, new to the organization. So it's really neat to see.
Yeah, luckily I was able to follow a good amount of the action on social media, and a lot of social media pub for top tier Iowa, so that was good to see. Had a good photographer down there. And you touched on it, just getting to see some of the other organizations. It's also segues nicely into the Mizuno Classic, which really a larger part of the organization will be down in Evansville next month. Again, kind of getting the team together, traveling for that. What are you looking forward to the most? What can parents and players expect from this Mizuno Classic tournament? And how important is it, again, to I think there's a networking aspect. I don't know. And this will be my first Mizuno Classic, really my first tournament as part of the top tier organization. So kind of your insight here will be valuable to me as well. Like, is it a good networking opportunity between players getting to know each other, coaches getting to know each other? That's one thing that I'm kind of looking forward to.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you mentioned it earlier with the social media aspect of it, right? The kids all have Instagram, and that's part of the reason why they twisted our coaching staff's arm, and we got the photographer, and we've gotten photographers for games just because the kids love it, and they get some great pictures that they can share on social. And I think it's cool for them personally. It's cool for top tier Iowa. It's cool for the top tier brand to see them posting and all that stuff. So but from the Mizuno Classic, obviously I'm excited to, as you mentioned, I'm excited to see the directors. I'm excited to let our kids be around the other teams and the other kids. I'm also excited to see some of my other teams that I'm not with. I'm primarily with our 14U team. So I'm really excited to see our 9U team is a really, really exciting and fun group. And so they're going to be there. And there's some younger brothers on that team of some older kids. So the support that, each team will get from just within our own organization from the others, but then also top tier Iowa supporting Evansville and Michigan and HQ and West and so on and so forth. To me it's a really cool dynamic, and so, like you mentioned, for the kids to be around their peers, to be around younger siblings, younger players that they look up to them, they want to be like them. So it's going to be a really fun weekend, and really excited for that weekend.
If there's anything that I know about you and top tier Iowa, you're looking to leave with some hardware for sure that weekend. And you've already, some of your teams have already gotten some hardware this spring already. And kind of looking through kind of some of these, travel baseball rankings and stuff like that, I kind of see some of these top tier Iowa teams towards the top. And I think this is kind of important, age for some of these, especially the older portion of the youth program, where they start to see their names and, rankings and their team and rankings, and that starts to creep in a little bit. What's your advice to maybe some of those guys? It's like, I think, like I said, some of those things start to creep in, and you've been around, so you might be able to offer some good advice to, hey, maybe not pay so much attention to those, make sure you guys kind of take care of it on the field.
Yeah, absolutely. A part of me says that stuff doesn't matter. And at the end of the day, you guys are really good baseball players, and that's what matters to me. And the development that they have, and we're very, very fortunate. We have some really, really good baseball players and really, really good kids that are very, very coachable. And I'm, very, very proud of them. So to me, the rankings is totally secondary. And I think that they're good enough kids and smart enough to know that those things, they really don't matter in the long run. And they're going to keep working. And just because they're ranked at whatever it is, that, they're not going to stop. And so, I'm really fortunate with the groups that we have. And I think that they do see the bigger picture. For sure their coaches do, and I know their coaches continue to talk about that. And that's one thing that we've tried to do here is in Iowa is surround ourselves and the kids and the teams with as many former college players, pro players, guys at the facility that are here in the off season playing pro ball, and just have them around our kids and just our kids being coachable and listening. And so I think those key things are kind of what makes us a little bit different from, it's what makes Top Tier different than other travel organizations.
What are you looking forward to the rest of the spring? What's kind of on the schedule here? And are there some players that you're looking to you're looking forward to getting to see? Like I said, you're around these guys, you see kind of the jumps that they've made, and it's almost a little difficult to see the jumps that they've made when you're working out kind of indoors. Now you get outdoors here that we're moving into the spring. So are there some guys that you're looking forward to seeing get it done on the field?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, I'm excited to see a couple of our different ages. I mentioned our 9s, our 10s, 11s. Our 13 U group is going to be out there, and it's going to be I'm really excited to see them kind of branch out a little bit. Primarily, they stay fairly local, and they do a really, really, really good job. Their coach is very, very organized, and so it'll be exciting for them, to make a trip. And so some of those players, being at a different tournament with more top tier kids and, more unfamiliar teams, I think is going to be something that's exciting for them, exciting to see how they do. And then, like the younger kids, a lot of them, it'll be their first big trip, first big top tier tournament. And so it'll be fun. Our older kids, our 14s, honestly, it'll be as cliche as it is, but it's another tournament. It's a business trip, if you want to call it that. They want bragging rights, amongst all the 14Us. So, that's kind of their, that's what they're going for. Like you said, they want hardware. And, I think winning is something that, it's very important. At the end of the day, for the older kids, it's something that they got to learn how to win. They got to learn how to be good teammates, and those things help them along. Yeah, at the younger ages, not so much. But as they get older, I really believe they got to learn how to win games and, help their team to do that. So it'll be fun.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to it. Next month, Mizuno Classic down in Evansville. Looking forward to seeing you guys, following the team. Real soon here, I'm going to kind of get in touch with all the directors and kind of get a preview of every, some of the players that I need to keep an eye on. I'll be bouncing around. So I'm looking forward to it. Jay, appreciate the time, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on. It's awesome.